All right, welcome back. And today's lesson I call the game of green and gold. And what I mean by green and gold is I think of green as being kind of fear-based emotions, things like fear and judgment and jealousy and criticism and negativity, and gold as being higher emotions like admiration, inspiration, even things like discernment. So, and the reason I just want to be clear too that the color green isn't inherently bad and the color gold isn't necessarily inherently good. I just find a lot of times when people are applying colors to feelings, green will be applied to those colors and gold will be kind of applied to these like healing colors. So I just kind of went with that, and I call this, because I like to have names we remember. So I like to call this the game of green and gold, which is really about understanding their role. And again, it's not about making those negative emotions bad. It's about understanding their role, because they do have a role. So I want to start with the understanding that all fear-based emotions work the opposite way that we want them to in the modern world. So, we evolved in primal times to, just like many animals do, have these instincts and situations. So, if you are attacked by a bear in the woods, your instinct is either to freeze or to run away. And the idea is that that keeps you alive. But that, when you add the complexities of modern life and your conscious mind and your identity into that mix, it tends to not do what you want it to do. That part of you that once kept you alive in the bear situation now becomes this part of you that's making you freeze when you're trying to give a presentation at work. It makes this part of you want to run away from a relationship when your partner is trying to have a meaningful conversation with you, right? So, jealousy is a really easy place to look at this. What is our intention in jealousy? Well, it's, I love my partner and I don't want to lose them. But when I give into that fear-based emotion, I experience jealousy, maybe I act in a way, maybe I'm nasty to them, or maybe I get really critical or distrusting, or I want to look through their phone. Don't do that, by the way. This is not healthy. But that behavior actually pushes your partner away, so that fear-based response works the opposite way that you want it to. And so you might think, okay, so all, green or negative or fear-based emotions are bad. No, they're not. They're there for a reason. And one of the reasons judgment is one of the most powerful things we experience. And judgment, when we judge people, we often are seeing something in ourselves that we don't like. And if we can recognize that, that can actually give us a lot of information. And so judgment and admiration actually can be powerful tools to help you understand what you want, what you don't want. I actually even use them as tools sometimes to help write my authentic self and help flesh out my future self vision, because as you go through the days, you go through experience of life, you can notice when you're judging people and when you're admiring people. And when you admire someone, maybe you admire someone. I love people, people who are well-spoken, who are well-mannered, who carry themselves well. I admire that, and so I like that. I want to bring some of that into who I am. And that's great. And so with judgment, we can look at that, and instead of going, oh, this person's awful, we can take the information and go, oh, this is showing me what I don't want to be. So I'll give you an example. There was this kind of family member who was linked to me, unfortunately, through marriage. Not my marriage, marriage in the family. And she was a mom, and she was very irresponsible. She was a drug addict. I could see how manipulative she was. I could see that she was, just like lazy and didn't make good decisions. And I wasn't where I am now, where I understood all the mindset and everything, but I could intuitively see that she was capable of so much more, and she was like wasting her life, and not only wasting her life, but just like really making some really terrible choices. And I judged her so hard. It was like a visceral response in my body. And the truth is, when I look back at that time in my life, there was a possibility that my life could have gone in that direction. And so it's almost like I was activated by her, because it was like there's this part of me that I don't like, that I recognize in her, and I just fell into that just intense feeling of judgment. And now it's interesting, with this is how healing works, there's no part of me that would go down that road now. So I look at that and I feel nothing, which is, you know, good. But if I had the awareness that I have now in that moment, I could have looked at that and gone, what is this showing me? And you can look at, oh, I actually don't like these qualities. I don't want to operate my life in that way. And you can actually flip that and go, well, I'm judging this in someone, so what do I admire about myself? And then, you know, you can just go, oh, I actually really like that I have my life together, that I'm motivated, that I'm, you know, moving in this healthy direction, that I value mindset and healing. And so I'm going to use that as a tool. When you start judging people, say, no, 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 I don't have to judge that person. And because, you know, we're all equal. We're all here having a human experience at different levels of awareness. And judging people never feels good. It doesn't feel good for them. It doesn't feel good for you to hold on to. So instead, when you feel that innate response of judgment, you can go, oh, what is this showing me that I don't want? Okay, I don't want that, so I'm not going to have that. And actually, if I'm judging that in them, then I admire something about myself. Oh, I actually admire that I'm well-spoken. I admire that I'm getting my feelings under control, and that feels good, and I can just amplify that. So there's your first one, taking judgment and admiration and having those be just a lens to look through of what you don't want and what you want. And we're going to do another one with judgment because judgment is so powerful. So another way that judgment can show up is in kind of an emotionally charged viewing or explaining of what's a situation. So you have a boss that's emotionally reactive and they come in and they say, I told you to have this on my desk yesterday. You didn't get this done. Now I'm angry and blah, 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 and all this stuff. That's mixing judgment, mixing emotion in. So what we want to use instead is discernment. And this is really important because some people think as they're going on this healing journey, and you know, we talk about accepting the present, they think I either just sort of have to lay down and accept the present and surrender and just sort of ignore what's actually happening, or I have to be happy. And that's not the case at all. Your tool in this situation is discernment. And so discernment is the emotion removed from judgment. So that looks like, hey, I asked you to have this done yesterday. It's not done. It's obviously not great. How are we going to move forward, right? Taking that emotional charge out of the situation. So looking at, you know, a partner going, you didn't take out the garbage and I've been telling you to take out the garbage and you haven't done it again and you're a terrible partner and you're unsupportive and blah, blah, blah. Letting that dissipate, not going down that road of mixing in judgment, just saying, hey, I've asked you to take out the garbage a couple of times. I feel like I contribute to the house a lot. This is something that really matters. Do you think you could do it? Right? Having that discernment, that statement of facts of the present without being married to an outcome, without being emotionally charged. So that's tool number 2, taking judgment and separating it from discernment and going, judgment, we don't need you. Discernment, this is how I'm going to operate. And I think too, as you deal with people, this becomes super relevant because there is no reality. There's no objective reality. Who's measuring objective reality? No one. We're all subjectively experiencing reality, and we make the mistake of going, no, 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 I'm experiencing reality correctly and everybody else is wrong. That is a way to set yourself up for absolute disaster. You do not want to think like that because you have your own experience of your life, of events, of things around you, and so do other people. And so you can't force your reality onto other people, but you also don't want to let other people force their reality onto you. I'm having my experience. This is my experience. My experience is real. My experience is valid. Your experience is also valid. And so, you know, what that can look like is as we learn all of this stuff, it's important to understand that other people are having a different experience. You know, if you have a friend that still vents and is still really negative, not going, you need to be like this and you need to be like that, that's never received. Just knowing that they're having their own experience. And it's really important as we gain this level of awareness and understanding that we don't invalidate other people's experiences. And, you know, people will talk about toxic positivity, and I get asked a lot, what makes it toxic or not? Well, it's a simple. are you invalidating the other person's experience, right? So if someone says to me, "Oh, my bank account just got hacked and like $10,000 been taken, I'm so upset." If you just go, "Oh, don't worry, that'll be fine. It'll all work out in the end. Just think positively." That's completely invalidating that person's experience and that person's personal reality. So we always want to start with empathy, with understanding. It's another way to think about it is in green and gold. Which set of emotions do you want to show up with? You want to show up with the gold, which means understanding, valuing. And you can say, "I'm so sorry that must feel this way." And a great thing in this situation too is to ask, and this is great for family members and partners, ask, do you want solutions or do you want support? Because a lot of the time what happens is we try to fix things. And what the person actually needs is they just want our empathy, our understanding. And so you can always start with that. That's got to feel awful. I'm so sorry that you're experiencing that. I'm sending you love, whatever. And then, maybe asking, like, do you want solutions or like, doing like a gentle reframe. That's a great time to practice a gentle reframe. Going, the banks have insurance for this reason and they're going to work it out. So try not to worry. I know it's intense right now, but try not to worry about too much. We don't want to invalidate their experience, and we don't want to force our reality onto other people. But also, as we become more aware, don't need to let other people's reality become our reality. I had a disagreement with someone the other day, and I did apologize because I said, "I'm so sorry that you felt that way," and they were like, "But you're not apologizing for your actions," and I was like, "Well, but my actions weren't intended the way that you've interpreted them." And they were like, "But what you did was wrong, and so you should apologize for it." And I kept coming back to, I understand that you feel that way, and I'm really sorry that I'm really sorry that you feel that way. That wasn't my intent, and I've actually adjusted this action in this way to accommodate, your thoughts and feelings. However, I did not make this action. It was a completely benign action and actually had nothing to do with you, and I'm not going to now apologize for it because I'm not sorry, because it had nothing to do with you. And, this person kept trying to force their perspective on me and going, "Well, I perceive," he didn't have this language, but basically he perceived what I did as wrong or hurtful. And so he was saying, "You should show accountability for this." And, I was saying, I am showing accountability for it. I'm showing accountability for it the way that I did it with my intention. And, I'm apologizing, I'm acknowledging, but I'm also, this is my reality. I know what I did, how I felt, why I did it, and this is my truth. And I'm staying in this, and I'm acknowledging your experience. I'm not trying to force my experience onto you, but I'm also not going to let you force your experience onto me. And it was funny because and this is someone that I know from the past that used to sort of gaslight me and like, make me feel really bad about things. And it was just, got so emotionally charged, and I stayed calm the whole time. And I just kept, I was like, I'm not upset about it. I've said my piece. I'm not going to come around to your way of thinking, but I am also happy to let this go. And then finally, once he got so worked up and realized that I wasn't going to get upset or I wasn't going to shift, I wasn't going to engage, was finally just like, "Oh," he said, "Do you think we can let this go?" And I said, "Yeah, I've let it go since it happened. I totally acknowledge that we have different perspectives, and that's okay. It's all fine, but that can be very unfamiliar to us. And so making that familiar is really powerful." And I just want to say too, because I had an interesting conversation about this the other day, I think you can take the language of conflict resolution, you can take the language of personal development, and you can weaponize it. And the other day, someone used the example of when someone does something that is actually hurtful and then says, "I'm sorry, but that wasn't my intention." But they say it in kind of a manipulative way. And, he was like, "Well, intention doesn't matter." And I said, "Well, intention does matter." But I would argue in that situation that, it's the true intention that matters. Because I think maybe in that situation, the person that's sort of using it like that way really did have an intention or awareness that what they were doing was going to affect someone. And now they're just using the language of "that's not my intention" to get out of it. So there's always the possibility of that happening. People take many different paths. People, can be manipulative. So I guess the best thing is to just come back to that green and gold, What set of emotions am I using? What is my intention? My intention is true, so let's stay with that. And you know, if you did do something wrong, do apologize. You know, that's fine. We want to be, you know, good people that can take accountability for our action, but many of us have received that message so loudly that we're actually bowing down and letting people steamroll us, and we don't need to do that. We have our personal reality, our personal sets of feelings, our inner compass, which is now becoming so calibrated, and all of that's real. So we can stay grounded to that. We can trust that. We can accept that we're having our own experience, that other people are having their own experience, and all of that's okay, and we can navigate in that way. So be honest, be authentic, still self-reflect. You know, if you do make a mistake, if there is validity, then own up for it and take account for your actions, but also stay grounded into your truth and don't let other people shift that. You know, ultimately you know what's true, what's right for you, and you're the one living your life, so live your life for you. You're doing amazing. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.